very visual and start looking at things in certain ways, in order to recreate or to be creative. So I don't know if that has something to do with the mindset that they're looking for, or is there a facet in the brain that does this? But he said that too, and I think, oh, well, that's kind of coincidence, besides the fact that he also was on a bunk bed. So, I mean, a lot of those things really rang a bell.
On top, too.
Yeah, and on top, exactly. And my life, and that's the other thing I want to tell people, is that, because I get people that say, oh, that's wonderful, oh, I'd love to be you, I want them to take me away. And I tell them, no, you don't. And I try to stress, once this happens to you, you can never go home. You will never be the same ever, ever, ever again. There is no going back. You can't unknow what you know. You can't change your biology because it's right down to your molecular level. You are not the same.
Well, it would change my thoughts because, again, I brought this up so many times, but the Finks, the wear marks, for years they said, oh, that was created by sand. Now the scientists come to the conclusion, no, the Sphinx was under ocean. That puts it before mankind. So how did it get there? Was mankind, brought here originally to maybe mine our minerals off this planet? And when our minerals became where it wasn't enough for them, right? They left. And left us here, and that's how we evolved. But I, as God and stuff like that, people have always had to believe in some type of God, the God of the mountain, fire God, the God of the whatever, right? Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe our God was an alien.
Yeah, well, I mean, people need, not everybody, but a lot of people need to know that there's something there, and something's going to, it gives them that sense of security. So there's that. I mean,
well, how about your whole life? Okay, you grow up as a little kid, right? You don't think about dying, but when you start getting in your 40s, okay, you start wondering, like, well, gee, I know somebody 45 that just died of a heart attack. Then you start worrying about how long you're going to live, and then you start thinking, well, my afterlife, like rest in peace. Now you're going to go to heaven. Well, how do I know that there is a heaven? Seriously. I mean, when my computer dies, the hard drive dies in it, it's dead. It's over with. When my ham radio blew up, that was the end of it. It didn't go to heaven. Now, how do I know when I die, I'm going to go to heaven? Or am I just going to turn into a compost, and that's the end of it?
Yeah.
People have to have something to believe in, or they have nothing to go forward.
Yeah. Well, as far as that part, and this is just strictly me, in my family, we've always made pacts of if somebody goes first, they're supposed to come back and tell the person what it's like. And I've got some comical stories of people who have passed and have come back and told them, yeah, it's nice, there's this, there's that. What I ultimately believe is that I used to take, when I started off as an orderly, I would take people down to the morgue. And I remember when the other orderly says, this is going to creep you out, but you'll get used to it. And it's very, because I notice you seem to like horror films. And I work 3 to 11, so you go down to the
You ever have a corpse sit up on you?
No, but they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's still an electrical impulse in there. I was warned about that. And that would creep you out even if you know it. Because this thing, the vault, there's like what we call the freezer, and that's where you put the gurneys in there. There'd be 3 or 4 bodies in there, and there's the one light bulb hanging, and it's kind of like an ugly light bulb. It's just kind of like hanging by the wire, and it kind of flickers. But I've seen a lot of different things, so I believe, and again, getting back to the being freaked out, it's like the soul is like the driver in a car. When the car is old or broken or whatever, the driver gets out. It leaves it. And I look at it the same thing, is that your soul is the driver, and when this body is done, just like an old car, you leave it. And this goes to the junkyard, basically. And I don't know about the reincarnation thing. I don't know anything about that, but I do know certain things because I've experienced certain things just being in the medical field, that there is something happens to you afterwards. It's not a dead end. So that much, And I tend to look at things very clinically, and I can't say proof, but when something keeps reemerging, then I know there's something there. So I've seen things and gone through things, which I'm not going to, we're running out of time, that have put me in that direction. But, yeah, so, things continue.
Oh, yeah.
But as for what's coming in the near future, I think there is going to be an event. And I try to stress this, that really be critical in thinking about what it is and what's being asked of you. And don't take anything for granted, and really, really think it through. And if a deal seems too good to be true, guess what? It is. And they are not warm and fuzzy. They have an agenda. They're generally very cold, very clinical. They do treat us. I can't say I've been treated badly. And to the fact that either they feigned emotion or what, they do keep an eye on me. As to why, maybe I'm just a very expensive lab rat. Maybe they've put a lot of time and money or whatever it is into me, and they don't want to see it gone yet because whatever they're looking at is not finished. So it could be, it could be totally selfish, so to speak. As I said in the beginning, it's all about them. It's not about us. They're not here to save us. And that's the other pet peeve. This intergalactic council. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. In all of my travels, and I've seen and done a lot of things, I have never run into any of these. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because I didn't see it and I didn't experience it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But I think this is sunshine being blown up you know where. And I think this is also a sucker punch, and it may be setting people up. Because if you start seeing craft coming down, and it's these people, and they're here to save us, and people start rushing on the street and starting to say things like, oh, this is wonderful, this is great, and I've seen this. I've seen this outcome. It can happen. It's one of those possibilities. Don't do it. Don't do it. Sit home, watch, and listen, and see. What is it? Actions speak louder than words? Don't buy the propaganda, because, as you said, something is sketchy. For years and years and years, they denied any of this stuff happens. Now all of a sudden it's in your face. Oh, yeah, they're there. Oh, yeah, our pilots saw. I mean, they're talking about reputable people who are trained. So they're not denying it anymore. So you have to ask yourself, why? And I smell something's up. Either something's coming, and they really can't stop it, and maybe they have a timeline, so they have to. Their hand's being forced. Or it's possible that this is a false flag, and they're going to stage this thing with back-engineered craft and maybe something that they had in those labs that looks, like an alien, because we do all kinds of stuff medically that people aren't aware of. The top secret stuff it's always 40 years ahead. You don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they can actually alter, us, a certain group of people, to make them look like aliens too, to do a little false thing to try to basically take over a one world government. Who knows how this could play out?
Oh no, I see that exactly happening. That would be precisely it, and they will offer you, or they may. It could get to a really nasty situation where really bad things start to happen, and these so-called, and again, it could be a false flag or it could be a real deal, where they're going to come and settle it. But you guys, the children in the room have to settle down. Now you're going to do it our way because, you guys screwed up. We gave you all this time. So now we're doing it like this. And, when people are tired and they're beat up and they're without hope, that's when things happen. That's when people capitulate. That's when people make bad choices.
Oh, yeah.
So you really have to watch what comes down the pike now, because I got that feeling that's going to be something like that. And you do not want to go one of the directions I've seen, because they're not like us. You are not going to have, your freedom of will is not going to be there. Your freedom of expression is not going to be there. It's going to be a very regimented, alien kind of life. And everybody's going to know their job, and everybody's going to do things like this. It's going to be your worst nightmare. So
yeah, and then I start wondering about all these FEMA camps they have built. Why?
Yeah, and I've heard that too. And again, that I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that this has been planned out since Eisenhower, with any, maybe with a species of these aliens. Who knows? When they do decide, if they do, or something happens, the people who rebel against it, they get shipped off.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what it's called, a re-education camp. That's how they'll term it. They make it sound like it's it's not Auschwitz. It's a place for you to learn. But I will tell you another thing that I saw, and again, it could happen, and it might not happen, and I'd rather it didn't. But, and it's funny, this happened way before all this other stuff started hitting the fan. I was at a Walmart, and I was in the parking lot, and I say I'm seeing this through somebody. And these craft are coming down, and they look like shuttlecraft, like almost like something out of, they weren't silver saucers. They weren't your traditional. They were more boxy, but very shiny and very white, very friendly looking. And people were all pointing up and saying, look at that. They're coming down. And something told me that Walmart is going to be used as a quote-unquote an alien reclamation center. You're going to go there, and you're going to sign up. You're going to give your ident, your everything, and you're going to get processed there. But people were ecstatic. They were happy. They were thrilled. And I'm trying to run around saying, no, you don't want this. You don't know these people like I know these people. You do not want this to happen. And I'm trying to get away, and I'm realizing that, wait, by me running, I'm making myself a target because they're seeing a dissenter. All this I'm seeing in this vision. But they were very nice, friendly-looking craft, and people were very receptive, and they thought it was better than sliced bread. And I'm really hoping, and then later I hear about these things about Walmart. The Walmart's being shut down places, and they're being reconstituted, refurbished for some kind of not nice purpose. I've heard this from workers saying that they shut the whole thing down, and they said there's something about they're doing some plumbing. And
yeah, I've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's totally lame. But I found it funny that what I saw, and then it gets named that all these Walmarts are getting closed down. So are they setting something up? I don't know. So, but again, you have to be aware, use critical thinking and discernment, and wait and see, and don't rush to judgment, or don't be saying, yeah, I want to jump on that saucer. Do not.
No.
Do not get on the ship.
Yeah, otherwise they'll be like that old Twilight Zone series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, I want to thank you for being on the show.
I thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so many people, that I feel that have been abducted, and a lot of the stories are the same. If you listened to Calvin Parker, if you listened to Timothy Collin, Don the other day, and so many other people I've had on, they all have the same type of message, and that's what's scary. Yeah,
well, because it's a happening thing, it's a reoccurring thing, and there is a system, and there is a similarity, and it runs pretty deep, and people can't really deny it anymore. But I just think that sometimes people just are not comfortable with that idea. So, like I said, I've been living this for a long time now, and I'll continue to live it, and I will, just keep my eyes open and look into the skies and paying close attention to what goes on planet Earth. And it's not just what goes on Earth; it's all around us.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, Niels, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I want you to have a great weekend. And keep in touch with me, okay?
Of course I will.
Okay, sir.
I thank you.
Okay, night.
Bye-bye.
Well, tomorrow, make sure you tune in to Eric Cooper's show, S4 Radio, from 11 p.m. Saturday night to 2 a.m. Sunday morning. It's a UFO, Bigfoot, roundtable, paranormal type of thing. Great show. Make sure you tune into it. The paranormal lawyer will not be on tomorrow night. He's still out doing some things on the road. but he'll be back the following week. James will be back on the following week with his show. So you want to make sure you tune into his show.